Hi, friends. Good afternoon. It is 1:57. Gonna see if we can get some friends in here live before 2 o'clock. I'm gonna try to be on here for about half an hour. So I may do a little reading sprint. I do not have any bookish packages that came in, so I know I don't have an unboxing. But I do have a few books that I got from my library, so I'm going to be doing a library haul. I can show you some of the books that I picked up. I went to the library yesterday, and I'll show you some of the books that I picked. Well, I show you all the books that I picked up. I got 5 books in, and I'll tell you why I got all of them. So a little bit of a preview into my January TBR. So I've told you this many times. I participate in this reading challenge on Facebook. The reading challenge is called Book Challenge by Erin, and we are now in the 24th iteration. It's been going on for 12 years, and every year the challenge runs twice a year for 4 months each time. And so there are 4 months of reading and then 2 months break. And then we're back for 4 months of reading and then 2 months break. I like it. I like the idea behind it. I like the community that is involved with it. And it's grown. When it just started, it was just this one creator named Erin who was administering the challenge. She would come up with the prompts, and she would record your responses when you said that you'd finished a book and tally up and so on. And as the years grew and the challenge grew and the number of participants grew, she now has other co-administrators who they create albums with each one of an album for each prompt, showing a picture related to the book that each person chooses for the prompt. So if there's several people reading the same book for the same prompt, then that book is only once in that album. However, you may have the same book in multiple albums because someone is reading the same book but for a different album. So each album shows all the books that are being read for that prompt, and so you may have a book in several different albums. One of the prompts is always a free. Any book that you read that meets the basic requirements, which is that it has to be over 200 pages and not in graphic form. Any book that you read, you can add it to that freebie album. So you get recommendations, and some people write little reviews, like they'll come back to the picture and they will write a comment. Usually that's how we say that we finished reading a book. You'll write that you finished it you'll note it on that album. But some people also write their mini reviews about the books. They'll tell you whether they liked it, what their rating was, or if they didn't like it, what was the issue that they had with the book. So you get recommendations from other people. So say I choose a book for the challenge. I choose a book for a specific prompt and someone else has also chosen it. And if that person reads the book before I do, I may see their response and decide not to read that book anymore because they didn't like it, or because they give a valid reason why the book maybe just doesn't work, and it's not about a personal preference. So I have gotten recommendations from just seeing the albums, and you can always switch the book. You need to let the administrators know what your replacement book will be while the challenge is going on and so on. But yeah, it's a challenge that I have done. Hi, Emmy Katz. Emmy Katz is here. She says, sorry I'm a little bit late, but hi to you too. You're not late. We just got started. I was just talking about this challenge that I participate in on Facebook. It's called Book Challenge by Erin, and it is it's a private group. But if you are interested in taking the challenge, let me know so I can send you a request. It is not run by me. It's run by someone named Erin, and she has some co-administrators. But I love the challenge, and so I talk about it all the time because it's another way to have fun with reading. It's a way to read something that maybe you wouldn't normally have picked up, and to be a part of a community where other people are reading some of the same books or reading books for the same kind of prompt. So the challenge on Facebook is called Book Challenge by Erin, BCBE, and it's been going on now for 12 years, and there are 2 challenges every year. The challenge runs for about 4 months, and in that time the prompts There are 10 prompts, and you need to choose a book to meet each prompt. So the goal would be to read 10 books within 4 months. And some people don't read all 10 books. Some people read way more, and they do another level of the challenge and so on. So it's really fun. And it's a great reading community. You get to see how other people read, how they interact with books. You have a place and a space to discuss books and other book related. Have other book related discussions. It's not a political space. There aren't people commenting on there about anything else. It's just books. And so I love it. I love it. And so I talk about it every now and then because I've participated in it now for many years. And we're about to start the 24th iteration of the challenge. So it's BCBE 24.0. So the challenge runs every year from January to April and July to October, or August to November. I don't remember what the second one is, but I think it's October, right? July, August, September, October. Yeah, I think so. It is January to April. So, because the challenge starts on January 1st, before in the month leading up to January 1st, the prompts are announced, and you choose a list. You choose the books that you want to read to meet each prompt. So there are 10 prompts, and one of them is always a free space. You could choose any book that you want to read that meets the basic requirements, which is that the book has to be 200 pages or above, and not in graphic format. So, no, not that anyone is discouraging graphic reading, but not for this challenge, just to kind of, make it a little bit more even playing field. So, in the month before the challenge starts, before the reading actually starts, the prompts get announced, and you should go through the prompts and select a book that you will read for each prompt and submit it to the administrators so that they can create the media, create the albums with all the pictures of the books, and arrange them so that everyone can see what is being read. And if you're having trouble finding a book that meets a specific prompt, then maybe seeing what other people have chosen and getting recommendations there, or maybe even asking a question in the general discussion: what are other people reading for this challenge? What do you have suggestions? Or, this is the prompt, this is what I'd like to read for this prompt. Do you think that it would be a good match for this? Because you don't always know what a book is going to have, what kind of characteristics a book is going to have before you start reading it. So I'll give you a little insight into what the challenges are. I'm going to tell you what the challenges are for the upcoming round. Whew. I'm not sure why I am running this through my app. So let me know if when I come out to go into my other screen, if you could still see me and hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you see me? What about now? Can you still see and hear me? All right. So here is the list of prompts for BCBE 24.0. So 10 prompts. So here are the 10 of them. First one is, again, a freebie. Read any book that is at least 200 pages. Next, so prompt number 2 is to read a book with a title that begins with either A, B, or C. And you can use the articles a or an, or the. So if it is like the correspondent works because it is the C. Or if you had an astronaut, that would also be fine. Any book that has a title that starts with A, B, or C, or the articles a, an, or the coming before the noun or adjective. I don't know. That starts with A, B, or C. So I will tell you the books that I have chosen for the prompts as well. But I'll tell you the prompts first. You can start thinking about what book you would read that would meet those prompts. So that was prompt number 2. Read a book with a title that starts with either A, B, or C. Number 3 is to read an epistolary book, so it has to be fictional, not like a bind up of letters written by someone, not a real life person's diary entries. Like the Diary of Anne Frank would not work. The letters that the letters that I don't know, the letters that Wilbur and Orville Wright wrote to each other would not work because it has to be fictional. So, an epistolary book that is fictional characters exchanging letters or writing journal entries has to be. Next prompt number 4 is to read a book with a picture of a clock on the cover or the word clock in the title. So, um, can you hear me? I see your message. You don't know if I'm talking to the screen. I'm reading something from, I'm trying to read the prompts from the challenge that I'm participating in. Can you hear me even if you can't see me? You can hear me. Can you, but you can't see me? When I'm using the app. I don't know why my YouTube is being streamed through the app today instead of just from the web. Oh, she said she can only see a half of my face. Sorry. Okay. All right. Is that better? Oh, fantastic. All right. So here are the rest of the prompts. So question. Challenge number 4 was to read a book with a picture of a clock on the cover or the word clock in the title. So like Secret of the Old Clock would, a Nancy Drew book would work. The Clockmaker's Daughter would work because those have clock in the title. But any book that has a clock on a wall or a clock suspended on the cover would be fine. And I'll tell you which book I chose for that. So, prompt number 5 is to read a book with a strong father figure. So one of the things that the administrators have done is they linked some of those Goodreads lists. So you have suggestions, lists of books that would meet the prompt for this reason, not necessarily meet the page count, but books that would have strong father figures. There's a list on Goodreads called Fantastic Dads. And so they link that to the challenge. So when you're looking for books, that would be a good resource to thumb through because you wouldn't necessarily know that a book has a strong father figure unless that is that was like a selling point of the book. So you've heard this, okay, read this book because there's a very supportive dad or a very strong father figure in that book. But otherwise, if you didn't know that, how would you know that this book has a strong dad? So there's a list on Goodreads that people have contributed to, and so they shared that to the Facebook page. Next is to read a book from a list curated by Australian readers. So the challenge creator is she lives in Australia. She's an American woman, but she's been living in Australia for many years. So she wanted people to check out this list called Countdown Number 1 to 100 Radio National's Top 100 Books. And so she shared the link to that, and you should read one of those books. Any of the 100 books that are on that list would be a candidate for this prompt. Next is to read a book with an occupation in the title. So, any occupation like a detective or a librarian or a teacher or a bookseller, office, baker, psychologist, tattooist. So, some books that people are reading, like The Tattooists of Auschwitz, The Barber of Seville. Is The Barber of Seville a book? Books like those. The next is to read a book that is set in a school or an academic setting. So, dark academia is one of the probably newest genres that are being mentioned. You hear about dark academia books all the time, so that would be a perfect fit for this challenge. Next is to read a book that you added to your TBR because of this challenge. So, like you noticed it on someone's list and you were intrigued, or you saw people had read it in previous challenges and you liked their reviews. Someone left a particular review to a book, or you liked the cover art, or you saw it in one of the albums and it just struck you. So, a book that someone else has read or is reading in this challenge. And final prompt number 10, is to read a biography or memoir or historical fiction that features a person that you don't know too much about. So this was chosen by one of the administrators, and her daughter said it's a fun opportunity to learn something new. So a memoir or biography of someone who you don't know too much about. So I had lots of options because I have some memoirs around here that I have been wanting to read and haven't read yet. But I will tell you right now the books that I am choosing to read for these prompts. So for my freebie, I'm going with a book that I started reading and stopped. Pardon me. So I'm going to have to start reading it again. And so I put it on my TBR for January. It is A Particularly Nasty Case by Adam Kay. The publisher had sent it to me, and it was a book about a doctor kind of set in a hospital. And I was reading it around the time when my mom was ill, and I didn't want to read at the time. So I put it away, but I want to get back to it. So that is the book that I'm going to be reading for my freebie choice. A Bend in the River is the title. A Bend in the River is my choice for a title that begins with A, B, or C. That book is on my TBR for many reasons. It is by V.S. Naipaul, who is a Trinidadian man. So he is a Caribbean author, and I try to read Caribbean authors whenever I can. But I also have this big, extensive TBR that I had created a few years ago, that has some titles that I just specifically want to get to for one reason or another. And that book, not just any work by V.S. Naipaul, but that specific book is on that list. And so I want to start advancing want to start making more progress on this list. So I'm choosing it for that challenge. The epistolary prompt, I'm reading LMNOP by Mark Dunn. I had chosen it, I put it on my TBR earlier this year when I was going to do a project, and I may still do the project. I was going to do a project about epistolary books, and I gathered a few of them and started reading them. I read the Literary Guernsey and Potato Peel Society by Schaefer, and I loved it. And I got lost in that book and just didn't read all the books that I wanted to read. I had also chosen This Is How You Lose the Time War. And yeah, I read a few books. I started reading, I didn't finish, but I started reading a few books that were epistolary, and then I just kind of got sidetracked. I had other reading commitments. I didn't get back to this one. I returned it to the library, but I do want to pick it back up. So LMNOP, which when you say it fast sounds like LMNOP, LMNOP by Mark Dunn is my choice for epistolary novels. The book that has a clock cover or title, I am going with this one, which I have started reading before and didn't finish. This is A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. So I went to the library yesterday. I picked up this copy. So this is part of my library haul because I am I'm culling, I'm curating my stack for my January TBR. This is going to be on it. Next is a book with a strong father figure. I've heard a lot about the Laura Ingalls Wilder series where she talks about her father, how her father moved them from wherever they were living and moved them to this homestead in the middle of the country in the, what period was this? 1860s? Yeah, so in the mid 1800s, um, Laura Ingalls Wilder. Yeah. So she and her family traveled by covered wagon across the Midwest. And so I've been reading this series. I started reading, this is the third book in the series, Little House in the Big Woods. No, I have the wrong book. I have the wrong book. This is the first book in the series. I picked up the wrong book. I needed to pick up Little House on the Prairie. So this is the first book in the series, Little House in the Big Woods. And then the second book is Farmer Boy. So I've read this one already. I don't know why I picked this one up. And I didn't notice until just now. Okay, so Little House in the Big Woods is book number 1. I read this one already. The next in the series is Farmer Boy. So Little House in the Big Woods describes Laura's early life, and then Farmer Boy describes the life of the man who grows up, the boy who grows up to become her husband. So his life, Almanzo Wilder, growing up in upstate New York. And then in Little House on the Prairie, I don't know. Do they meet? I don't know. Um, so I want to read Little House on the Prairie. I picked up the wrong book from the library. It's okay. Maybe I should revisit this one, although I think I know the story. So yeah, that's my choice for a book with a strong father figure, because you hear a lot about the father, Pa Ingalls. These are one of my husband's favorite series. When he was growing up, he read these books and loved them. And I think he may have a copy of he had some of the books from the series at his childhood home, but some of those books have been given to other people. So we just have to get these from the library. Next is the Australian Reader curated list. And for that, I'm going to be reading Sugarbane by Douglas Stewart. It is it here? So I turn my books inside, turn my books inward, but I still know where some of them are. This is the Booker Prize winner for 2020. This won the Booker Prize during that year, during COVID. And I remember this, my first time going back to a bookstore. This is a book that I bought, and I haven't read it yet. So it is set in Scotland, and I was just blown away by this cover because I loved seeing the picture of this boy and his mom, being just very intimate, child and parent. And I love this picture, and I haven't read the book yet. So this was the Booker Prize winner for 2020. And so, I'm trying to read more of the Booker Prize winning books. So this will advance a few projects. So that's why I chose it from that list, Sugarbane by Douglas Stewart. There are lots of other books that were on the list that I want to read for different reasons, but this one meets a few prompts. So that's how I'm just kind of trying to be strategic with my reading in 2026. The next prompt was the book with occupation in the title. And so I'm going to be reading The Maid by Nita Prose. The publisher had sent to me a copy of that book when it was first published, and I didn't read it. I heard a lot about it, and some of the things that I heard about it, maybe I heard too much, and so I just couldn't read the book at the time, but I still want to read it, so it's on my list. The Maid by Nita Prose. It's somewhere in that stack over there, and I should go get it, but I will. Next time you see these books, I'm going to put them all together. The book that is set in a school, Choosing the Secret History by Donna Tartt. I read Donna Tartt's The Goldfinch and really enjoyed it, and I've wanted to read more from her ever since, and I haven't. But I think that while The Goldfish is probably the book that she won probably more awards for, The Secret History is probably her more popular book. And I don't know what else she's written, but everybody's read The Secret History except me, so I'm going to read it. So that's my choice for the school setting. And then a book that was recommended or that you saw other people choosing. I'm just being selfish and reading a book that I want to read that I saw somebody else put on their TBR. This is Jojo Moe's We All Live Here. I've read a few things from Jojo Moyes. When Jojo Moyes is the author of Me Before You. And when this was coming out, there was a lot of excitement about this book. And so I went and saw her in person at Barnes and Noble, and I got her to sign. Was it that one? No. They made the book was adapted to the movie, and the female lead, Emilia Clarke, she was also there. So I met her and the author, and there was a lot of excitement about the book, and got my book signed by the author as well as by the actress. I thought that was kind of cool. This is one of the few books that I have 2 copies of and don't want to get rid of them, because generally if I have 1 copy of a book and I get another copy, I want to keep the second one, because that's the one that I intentionally got a second time. But in this case, I had really liked the font that they used for this series. And I liked how a lot of her books were published or republished with this font. And I went through this little period where I was just reading Jojo Moyes for a few weeks, maybe a couple of months. I read several of her novels just back to back to back. And I just fell in love with her writing style. And then I met her, and it was just awesome. And I've been intentionally reading more of her books since then, but she wrote a lot of books before she became this recognizable author. She had a lot of books, and then this one, and there was a lot of interest about this one, and then she wrote this into a series, and there were 3 books in the series. And I didn't love the series because I didn't love how this book ended. Although I understood why the book had to end the way it did for the point that she was trying to make in the story. Did you read this book? I'm just talking. I'm going down this little rabbit hole. But yeah, Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, a very impactful story. And so I've been wanting to read more of her works. This is her newest release. It was published this year. It was published this year. Prior to this, the book that I have read most recently from her was The Giver of Stars, in which she talks, published this year, in which she talked about the packhorse librarians in Kentucky in the United States. There was a time when the government used to pay women to go deliver library books to people in remote areas. So instead of having a library where you could go and pick up books, you would have the books delivered to your house. But it's also, as much as I like getting books delivered to me, it's not a system that I would want, because it means not being able to go to a physical library. So yeah, I read that. And so this is next up for me from this author, We All Live Here by Jojo Moyes. And I'm intentionally not reading the synopsis because I would probably be reading that early in January because, yeah. So this one is blurbed by Emilia Clarke, who, like I told you, is the actress who starred in Me Before You. Her praise is, Jojo's work never fails to bring a smile to my face with her honesty, humor, and empathy about what it is to be human. Isn't that sweet? All right. And then biography or memoir or historical fiction, I chose Bibliophobia by Sarah Chihei, who is a woman that I've never heard of before her book was published. So we will be exploring that together. Next time I come on here, I will show you all the books that I have gathered, because I still don't have all of them. I will show you all the books that I have gathered for the challenge. I'm still waiting on the copy of Elemental P that I don't have. I'm going to request that from the library. So I'll wait until I have my full stack and I'll show you all 10. But aside from that, the other books that I got from the library was another Frida McFadden. This one is The Coworker. I told you I read her book, The Teacher, and then just last week I read the book, The Crash, which is one of her 2025 releases. And I liked one a little bit more than the other. So I want to read another book and just kind of see how I land with her books in general. Like, I feel like you need a third book. If you liked one and didn't love the other, are the other books going to be more like or love or not love? So I need another book to just figure that out. So I got this one. And then finally, Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I have read several of this author's works, and this I think is the biggest book that she has. I could be wrong about that. No, Americana was longer, even though it's a smaller. Well, Americana was paperback. This is, full hardcover, $32. $32 cover price at first publish. Alfred A. Knopf, publisher. So, this is the other book that I got from the library. So, I missed all of your questions because I was on the other screen. So, Emmy Katz wants to know how long I'm planning to be on here for. Just another couple of minutes. I have to go big things that I need to do for the weekend. So I need to go do some, need to go run some errands before I pick up my daughter from school. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, though. I understand if you have to go. I have been publishing videos every day on the channel for Vlogmas. Not as early in the day as I had said that I would. Plans got a little railroaded for that, but even if they're not coming in the morning, they're coming, right? I hope they'll keep on coming too. I'm hoping to stay consistent with the Vlogmas publishing because I do want to get some videos out before the end of the year, and this is a great way to do that. In terms of the Christmas preparation, that stalled a little bit as well because just we haven't been feeling well these last couple of days. This cold that I've been fighting, my daughter has a cold. She still has a cold from last week, no, the week before, and I think we just need to get better. So we've been trying to take things a little easier. And so I haven't been forcing her to do some of the activities yet for the Christmas preparation. So that will be coming. That will be coming back very soon. But I want to tell you that I just finished a book. And so this book is probably going to feature in the Vlogmas video sometime, whether today or over the weekend. I just finished reading Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison, and I was reading the print. I read a little bit of the print, but for the most part, I listened to this on audio, and the audio is read by the author. It's fantastic. It's fantastic because when you listen to the author read the work, you understand why, why she says what she says in the book, how she says it. So if I was reading, I probably wouldn't have read it like that, at least the first time. So one of the scenes that I remember vividly is like right at the beginning of the book when a father is about to name his child, and the father is illiterate, but he's a believer in God and the Bible. And so he goes to the Bible, and his plan is to choose a name for the child. And he can't read, right? So he can't read or write. He could write because he could copy, but he can't read. So he goes to the Bible to choose the name. And so he uses his finger and just like runs down, and he picks the word that his finger stops on. And he says, that's going to be the name of his child. And, just kind of imagine what it means for someone to bear for their whole lives the result of um, someone's action that they really are not in control of, because he is kind of blindly pointing to something in a Bible that he can't read and saying this word is going to be the name of the child forever. And when he goes to present the name, when he goes to present the name to be recorded, the lady says, you want this to be the baby's name? And it's a really vivid scene in the book. So the author, when she's reading it, she said, that's the baby's name. You want this for the baby's name? And just her inflection as she says it is just so powerful. It's a scene that you wouldn't likely soon forget. I want that for the baby's name. Say it. You can't name the baby this. Say it. It's a man's name. Say it. I won't tell you what it is because I will not spoil any part of this book. If you haven't yet read Toni Morrison, if you haven't yet read Song of Solomon, go read it. It is a song. It is about Solomon. It is. I'm going to tell you more about it in the video, the Vlogmas video. Look out for the Vlogmas video that's coming soon. So I won't spoil my own video here. But yeah, no, you have to watch the video. You have to watch the video. You have to watch. Okay, because you're here, I'll tell you. So the baby's name is Pilate. In the Bible, Pilate is not a good. Pilate's not a good. Pilate's not a good name in the Bible, and so giving that name to someone who, any person who hears it and knows not Pilate as in an aviator. Pilate in the Bible is the person who is responsible for convicting Jesus Christ to, he's a person responsible for a lot of things that shouldn't have happened the way they did. I shouldn't say it like that. Let me take that back. Pilate is the person who prescribes judgment on Jesus Christ, undeserved judgment. And it shows a lot about his character that he does that, because he is not willing to stand up for what he knows is right. And so that kind of history, putting that on someone without even knowing what it is that you are saying. Not that you should name someone that word, but to name someone that word, even without knowing that that's the word that you have chosen because you can't read it, that's just wrong. So it is a very vivid scene because the man, he copies the name from the Bible and writes it on the paper and gives it to the person who's going to put the name on the birth certificate. And even when he's giving it to the lady, he doesn't know what the word is. That's why he's saying, say it. And she says, you can't name the baby this. And he says, say it, because he doesn't know what it is that he is giving her. But then when he hears it, he's like, well, I don't know if I could change that now. It's a very vivid scene. Add this to your TBR if you haven't yet read it. Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. You can't go wrong with any of her books. All of her books are very visual representations of a time and place. And she includes some imagery that may be magical, or they may just be how we have been socialized to think about certain things. And so her books make you question what's real and what's not. I have read a few of her books. So this is my reading journal. This is my Toni Morrison section. So she has 12 novels, and I've read 5 of them. I've actually read 6, but I wanted to reread this one, so I didn't color it in. But I've read The Bluest Eyes, Song of Solomon, Beloved, Mercy, and Recitative. And Sula is the one that I plan to reread very soon. I've started Love and just haven't finished it. And I'm going to see if I can get an audio. If I can get another audio accompaniment, I will definitely read more of these listening to her, because that was just such a fantastic experience. So yeah, Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I've been and updating my reading journal and very happy about the progress that I am making so far with some of the challenges. My 10 before the end challenge, this was one of the books on the challenge. So I finished 3 books and I have 2 more on the go. So hoping to finish another one maybe over the weekend, maybe both of them over the weekend, which would put me at the halfway point. And then just to keep moving forward, trying to read these 10 books before the end of the year. So we'll be back hopefully on Monday. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. The intention is to have a Vlogmas video up every day of the week. So if no weekends, you'll see a new video coming in from me, which means I have to do some pre-recording and scheduling some things. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll be back hopefully on Monday with another live, but later today with my Vlogmas video and other days over the weekend as well. So I hope you watch them. I hope you enjoy them. If you are on other social media platforms, go check me out over there. I've been posting some of the Vlogmas stuff on TikTok, which I just got back on because I've been off of TikTok now for about a month, and also promoting them on my on my Instagram page. So you can check me out, both of those spaces. My profile is Karen_RunwrightReads. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you had a good time and happy weekend, whatever it is that you are doing. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay. Bye.